Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of 0 to 60. This is going to be just me explaining what happened with my low pressure fuel pump yesterday. Now, thanks to everyone that commented in yesterday's video. The first guy that picked exactly what had happened from that little clip at the end of the video is Zik, I can't pronounce it, but it's this gentleman here. I've pinned his comment, and he picked it, I think, within half an hour of the video going up. He knew exactly what had happened. Yeah, so basically, when I'd reassembled that stage 3 fuel pump last week with the Walbro, I hadn't positioned the pumps in exactly the same location. Something I didn't mention in the first install video of the stage 3 pump, it gets very, very tight trying to fit it all back into the slot that it sits in the fuel tank. So I'd position the pumps differently this time to give more clearance as you push the hat down. And anyway, long story short, I cocked it up. It was my mistake. You know, I've repositioned those lines now, so hopefully they are clear of the fuel sender. So let's go and test it. Sorry about the mobile phone recording, but I have repositioned the hose, reconnected the fuel sender, but I haven't reconnected the pump. So I'm going to power it up and see if we're now getting the correct reading on the fuel gauge. The reason I want to do it without the pump connected is it's just not good to run these Walbros dry, so hopefully I haven't damaged anything yesterday. And there we go, fuel gauge not moving at all. All right, I'm going to get that 30 litres of E70 put in, and we'll see if the gauge moves. So back on the GoPro, I got 30 litres in the tank, and that, whoever made that fuel can is just terrible. I spilt nearly half of it trying to get it in. Anyway, she's in now. So I did just want to say, so what happened last Thursday when I was testing the Walbro, obviously that's when the problem was happening, so I didn't know that the tank was actually low at that point in time. So those two 2.9DC errors that I got were low fuel, even though the gauge was half a tank. And unfortunately, both of those errors happened while I was wide open throttle, and that's not good. That can damage the high pressure fuel pump. Not that it matters because I've changed it now, but that's also how you damage the engine. So hopefully what I was doing last Thursday with those two errors didn't cause any problems. And all the idling that I've been doing when I was testing the N20 map sensor and even driving it around yesterday, the engine never really got on any load. So the only thing that might have been damaged from now is that genuine Walbro pump. So anyway, let's see what we've got. Now just make sure that's working. Power the car on, and we've got half a tank. So these are a 62 litre tank or a 60 litre tank. So half a tank is now correct. We're getting movement on the gauge. And sorry, I should have got this ready before. Let's get the JB4 up. Turn the car back on. Now I imagine the fault codes from yesterday are still going to be there. And we'll try and prime the fuel system again. So just turn the car off, turn it back on, and we're starting to pump fuel now. Obviously when the fuel system is completely dry, it's going to take a little bit of while to get that fuel up to the low pressure sensor. Cool, 33. Sorry about the reflections, hopefully you can still see. That noise is the seatbelt helper passing it to me. All right, so we've got 60 in the low pressure. It is dipping down a bit like it was doing yesterday. That is normal. But normally she'll hold around 50. But I guess it's still going to be building up all the fuel in all the lines and pressurizing the air. All right, let's give it a start. Fuel pressure's good. Now I imagine that took a little bit longer to start because there still would have been air in the lines. But she's idling nicely. Just read those fault codes again. I don't think I cleared them once I got back yesterday. So I got cylinder 3 misfire. Hopefully we haven't fouled that plug or anything weird like that. The 2.9DC, which is the low pressure issue, and 2D ED, I think that's just an issue with having the JB4. So we'll delete the codes. That last code does come up every now and again. Now I know it's cold, I'm just going to bring it off idle a little bit. Yeah, she's smooth. Alright guys, I'm going to let this warm up and we'll see how everything's running. So I've been running for a while, and probably only about 5 or 10 minutes of actual driving. But we're going to roll the power on and just see what happens. Let's hope for the best. Yep, she feels good as everything goes flying. We're back. We're back in the power range. That's awesome. All right, I'm going to keep doing some tests. By test, I'm just going to drive it around a bit more, do a proper pull, because that wasn't quite flat out. It was idling a bit. Rough before I left work. Could just be a relearning thing. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, I'll speak to you guys shortly. So we're back, and it's sorted out its idling. I guess it was just a relearning thing. In fact, it was probably might have been just after I cut the camera off last time. At the next set of traffic lights, it was idling pretty smooth. So I don't know if it was some sort of relearning procedure that the high pressure fuel pump needed to go through the rev range. In that pull that you did see me do, I wasn't loading the car fully, but I've done about 4 or 5 heavy pulls. I've done some logs to look through as well. And yeah, everything seems to be responding as it should. The engine actually feels ridiculously smooth. I do think I've smoothed out the idle a little bit. Maybe it's a placebo thing, but it feels really, really good right now. Almost, no, I'm not going to say it. I was going to say almost like a Rolls Royce level of smoothness, but it just feels crazy smooth. Yeah, look, something to take away from this video. Pay more attention when you're placing your fuel lines in the low pressure fuel pump module. That was purely my mistake. Yeah, and I can see it on the video where I've cocked up and just put them in the wrong spot, but she's sorted now. The fuel gauge has come down a little bit. Considering 30 litres was half a tank, we've probably used 5 litres for what we've just done then, which is probably about right-ish, maybe. But I'm definitely going to keep an eye on that and make sure it's moving more with the kilometres that are on it. Yeah, and you know, I hope somebody got some entertainment out of it and maybe learnt something. As for whether I needed to replace my high pressure fuel pump, I do think I did, just for a preventative maintenance type of thing. I hadn't done the high pressure fuel pump in this car. God, don't know how old it is, and if I want to be silly with it, make decent power, I've got to do that. Lastly, what I did yesterday and run this car out of fuel was really, really bad. Like, it could have damaged low pressure fuel pump if I wasn't changing the high pressure fuel pump. Even when I lost fuel on the power run, that's bad. Yes, things like that where you do damage to things that you might not realise right now, and although the car feels fine right now, whatever I've done yesterday might turn into a problem down the track. So it's just something to keep in mind, and it's not always, a lot of people blame the cars where sometimes it's their fault, and this was definitely my issue. So hopefully I haven't done any other damage. Anyway guys, I've rambled on enough. Look, thank you very much for watching. Again, appreciate all the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing that I'd cocked up with the fuel sender unit there. And yeah, we will catch you on the next one. Actually, just a quick update. I'll keep playing with this for the rest of the week. I'm going to put some kilometers on it with this high pressure fuel pump. Keep logging and just make sure everything is doing what it should be doing. It felt really strong then. It is breaking loose in the second gear as I roll it on with the Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's, which I don't think it's ever done before. Not on good road. It would on a shitty road, but just then I could wind it on in second and it would break loose. That's pretty cool. Really need to get that diff sorted. But yeah, I'll give you an update on this car once I'm going to the next level of modification, which will probably be full E85. Yeah, until then, thank you very much for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. I'm just editing that video now, and I've just been reminded of when David ran out of fuel in the transit van about 2 months ago. Similar thing, the van was reading 1/4 of a tank, but it was out of fuel. And it's a bigger problem on a diesel because the diesel fuel pumps do not like to be bled, or they're a pain in the ass to bleed. Anyway, here's a 2-minute clip of David trying to bleed a diesel fuel pump on the side of the road by using air start just to get the engine cranking over. I think it's quite funny, and it makes me feel better about running my car out of fuel because David did it in the van. All right, guys, catch you on next one.